Hi everyone, Sandra Duran Wilson here, and welcome to this week's Mixed Media Soul Sparks. Every week I bring you some different ideas to really push and jumpstart your mixed media work. Today we're going to be exploring color. Every month I try and do something around composition and color, and this is kind of a combination of the two because we're going to use color as a composition tool. But sometimes I find people get overwhelmed with the color choices. You know, you walk into the art supply store and you see this wall of all these beautiful colors, or you look online and there's just so many colors to pick from. And I'm not immune from it. I have lots of colors too. But I really like to mix my colors, and I can get any color I want from just a few colors. And we're going to look at that today. How can we do this? And I've got some of these like shipping tags I had laying around, so I thought, oh, I'm going to use these. They're kind of fun to make these little cards. I've only painted one side, but you can also use some, this is gessoed paper and leftover pieces of paper that I have. You can make color swatches, however you want to do it. But what the objective of today is that I'm going to make a range of values using black and white and mixing a neutral gray. And then you can see that I'm going from, here's the color out of the bottle, going lighter, going darker. And I make notes on the back. On here, rather than black, I used Payne's gray. So I can see that I get this very different purple rather than just something really dark with black. So that's another option, is you make your cards and you write what you did on there. And once I've made a few of these, I'm going to select basically 4 colors. And then I'm going to work with quadrants within a painting. So let me just show you mixing some of these up first. So I'm just using a titanium white, and this is a bone black. I usually like carbon black. It's a bit darker, but any black will work. And you notice that I took just a tiny bit of the black and added it to the white, because obviously black has got a lot more power than the white. So you make sure you work that way. Now you can get your color wheel and say, oh, is this really a neutral gray? Well, I'm just going to eyeball things here. So that looks pretty neutral to me. So I'm going to keep that there. And then I'm going to use this blue-violet color, whatever colors you decide. I just grabbed this one. And I'm going to put this here. And I'm going to start here. And this, in the middle, I'm just going to put the straight color. So this is kind of a mass tone, meaning it's a little spread out more, so it's a little lighter than that. Now I'm going to start to pick up some white and bring that in. And I'm going to just make it lighter. So I keep picking up more white without adding any more blue. So I've got this range of values. So these are tints. When you add white, it's called tints. And when you add black, it's called shades. So when I start with a neutral gray, I'm going to take this color and I'm going to mix it into the neutral gray. And that's going to come down here. Isn't that a beautiful color? I could add a little more so we get a bit more gradation. Except here I want it to go darker. So now I'm going to pick up a little more of the black. Can you see that okay? My paper's curling up, so to make sure we can see it. I might be running out of my blue, but so we're going from the lightest light to the darkest dark. And when this dries, it'll lay flat like the other ones. So this is what I mean by vary your values. And from these cards I've made, I'm going to choose 4. And I put that there. From the 4, what I've created here, I did some collage onto here and then just put a little bit of gesso over the surface. And I'm going to just kind of draw on here. So I'm going to look at quadrants. And within these quadrants, I'm going to have, I'll do the painting later, but within these quadrants, I want to have some high contrast areas. So perhaps in here, I might have some of this dark, dark blue, which, let's just go in here with a, wasn't even sure if that was the color I'm going to use, but I can always paint over this. So that might go right next to a very light color. And it doesn't have to be the whole section. You want to start to integrate these pieces. But when you look at it within a quadrant, you can start to work with these areas and say, okay, part of this, I want some of that showing through. Maybe I can just put some water, some alcohol, and you just play with it the way you would a painting. But you're looking at the quadrants to have one area of dark, one area of light, where they're meeting, and you can have that happening in different places. Don't let it get too busy. I'll finish this, and I'll come back in with some of the other colors. So limit the colors, maybe even just 2 colors, because you've got all these values, and then you could come back in with what I call like a color that's going to be a zinger color or a pop. So perhaps I'm working with these blues and maybe some of these colors, and then I bring in a bright pink on top. So don't try and bring all the colors in. You don't even have to bring all the values in. It's just a way to train yourself to mix colors and to use them in a way that can tell your story, that can keep the viewer engaged. Even having this little bit of collage underneath already gives you a little bit of interest. So I'll keep painting this. I can even make little stamps and come back over it. More collage. Limit your colors, vary the values, and work in a quadrant. Check out the website for all the other available self-paced classes. You can now get the Creative Soul courses by the week, and you don't have to do a whole 3 months or a whole year. You can just do a week. And with the Mixed Media Soul Sparks, you can do a month at a time for only $16. So great deal. I hope you join me, and I'll see you next week. Join the Creative Awakening Community on Facebook, where you'll be able to post your art, connect with other creatives around the world, and ask questions. Use the hashtag Mixed Media Soul Sparks when posting your work on social media. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week.